thanks for joining us, Tom, for this Worthian Voices interview. And obviously, you've been involved with rugby sevens for a while now. Can you just tell us a little bit about your experience and your experience over the last few years and your involvement with that?
Yeah, I mean, going back, I've now been playing for about 9 seasons, I think, for England Sevens, which feels like quite a long time, but incredibly grateful for some amazing years. More recently, I guess I'm into the second of my Olympic cycles, which is kind of the way the sport's gone now since its inclusion in the Olympics. So since Rio in 2016, which was brilliant, everything is sort of been geared up towards, or would have been geared up towards Tokyo, which is supposed to be happening this summer. And in those kind of 4 years, there's been some amazing moments as well, including Commonwealth Games and a World Cup as well in sevens, which are kind of like real standout milestones, I suppose. But it's also been an amazing kind of journey of growth. I think when I was in 2016, I felt like that was I'd reached a bit of a peak. I think naturally having like a big milestone, a big experience, and I kind of I don't know, what am I trying to say? I kind of thought that was also my peak in terms of development and growth, but actually I've learned so much since. And there's been a lot of challenging times with the England Sevens program in terms of cuts, like losing staff and things like that, which has been something that's new that I've had to deal with. And being the captain of the team, kind of managing people through that, helping people through that, understanding how different personalities react to those challenges has been really interesting. And we're in yet another challenge now, with no rugby to be played, a very uncertain time in terms of contracts in all sports, and with no Olympics this summer. Hopefully it will happen next year, and that's the goal for everyone, I think, at the moment. But equally, you know, it's been a tough time, but it's all relative, I think, and that's been an important thing for us to hold on to. So I'm exploring other options at the moment about what life might be like after rugby, and perhaps I'll have to get a proper job, but I'll be avoiding it if I can.
I mean, I find it interesting. You said it felt like you peaked at Rio in 2006. Was it 2016? Yeah. And could you maybe say something about like how have you maintained your drive since then? Like, how do you know, once you've had an amazing experience like that, you feel like you've reached the peak. You know, what do you do after an experience like that? How do you keep going?
So I guess at the root of it, what I've learned is, and what I'm continually trying to develop, is the importance of the now and being very present with things. And I quickly realized that I didn't want to dwell on that success too much. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great when someone asks me about it or wants to see the medal. It's like, yeah, happy days, here we go. I'll spin a load of yarns that I've probably told loads of times before, and I do enjoy that. But at the root of it, I think if you're living in that time, and it's the same with anything, whether it's positive or negative experience, living in the past is not going to be very beneficial. So, and on the flip side, the challenge is not looking too far ahead at what's in the future as well. So, you know, if you spend all 4 years looking forward to the Olympics that were supposed to be happening this summer, and then suddenly it's cancelled and that's it, and you realize that 4 years has passed you by, I think you're going to be pretty disappointed, and you will have missed out on a huge amount of stuff in the meantime. So I think equating that kind of goal setting that is a massive part of sport with my kind of personal philosophy, and something that we try to talk about a lot, about being in the moment, and that is kind of going day to day with it as well, and appreciating that there might be a brilliant experience to be had in a random day at training, where you thought it was just a standard day. You know, it's not the Olympic final, but your standard day at training might throw an experience up, might build a relationship. Someone might say something to you that you never heard before. You know, you might meet someone new. And I think tapping into that sort of philosophy has really helped me enjoy all of the moments and not just look forward to the big ones. Because, in fact, I'm going on here, which I know we're
No, it's fine. Yeah,
there was a great moment that really highlighted this for me. So we had the Olympics in Rio in 2016 summer, which was amazing, and then we had a little break, but then we rolled pretty much straight into the next 7 season. And that December, so the December after the August of the Olympics, we won a tournament in Cape Town. And it was the first time we'd won a tournament for a while. It was obviously winning a World Series tournament is massive. And I was really happy. And then we just got our medals and we were kind of standing around, just looking at the crowd, waiting for whatever came next. And I was like, oh God, this doesn't feel as good as the Olympics. Oh no, I'm like, I'm never going to have that same high that I had. And I kind of had a bit of a crisis moment after that, thinking, well, that's it. I've had the highest high. I might as well call it a day. Like, if I'm never going to be able to replicate that. But I kind of processed it and realized the point was not about replicating it. It's not about trying to, it's about appreciating that there might be similarities and things, but the difference in the experience is what's valuable. And it being a new experience and valuing that for its own sake. And it's not about it being better or worse, but kind of valuing that experience for its own sake. And I think that was a pretty big moment of realization, which helped me then continue and push on.
Oh, I love that idea of sort of tapping into your why, like why you were actually there. And
100%, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. No, thank you for that. And the students here at Worth, they're going to be doing a virtual sports day next week. I mean, do you have any just encouragement for them or any advice how to push through that pain barrier just to go for it next week?
Yeah, well, I think the hardest thing at the moment, and I'm finding this, it's really hard just to get going. I mean, people are saying, oh, you've got loads of time and you've got nothing else to do. To some extent, they're right. I get that. But it's hard. I'm finding it hard to motivate myself. I think particularly when you're by yourself, it can be hard to motivate yourself to be active, to train, to go and do a session. I guess there's a couple of things. Like, it's always a choice. So you can really empower yourself by making it a choice and being aware of that choice. Like, you don't have to, I think this with the guys, yes, as a team, we're all contracted to turn up and to train, but really, if you don't want to, you don't have to. So you lose your job and you suffer the consequences, but that's still your choice. Now, when you're deciding whether you want to go out and do a session, you could stay in, but you're going to be better for it physically and mentally. And I think once you make it a choice and kind of empower yourself, one, you feel much better afterwards because you made the choice that you decided to. But I think also it just makes that decision-making process a little bit more straightforward. And you kind of process the kind of little people on your shoulders, having that little that debate about whether or not you're going to get up and do the session or not. And again, I guess there's a principle I like to think about when training at the moment, which is just about being like kind of exploring your boundaries, like finding what your edges are. And it's an amazing feeling when you do that. And I think exercising, sport are great ways of doing that. Like I'm trying to think of some examples. So recently, this isn't really training, but I've been trying to juggle with for like a certain amount of time with 3 balls and then trying to juggle with 4 balls. And like, it's not going to help my career. There's not going to be any positive, tangible knock-on effects of it. But actually just exploring how long I can do it for and then just trying to nudge it further and further forward is really rewarding. And there's something in ourselves, I think, that really benefits from that. But it's the same with the physical stuff. Can I lift a little bit more than I did last time? Can I hold a handstand for a few more seconds than last time? Things like this. I think those little rewards that we get when you congratulate yourself for just pushing your boundary that bit further is really healthy.
Oh, thank you for that, Tom, and thank you for joining us this morning. And we just want to wish you all the best in your next phase and when that season starts, and hopefully when the Olympic comes around. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Will. No, absolute pleasure.